It seems it's time to populate our gaming subscription services with day one indie titles. In one camp, Sony gets console-exclusive access to a cyberpunk cat simulator. But what trump card could Microsoft possibly pull to best it? A QuickTime event slideshow. But before we get into it, I want to give a quick mention to my buddies over at CalderaLab.com, makers of the Clean Slate, the Base Layer, the Good, and the Deep. This skincare routine will have you graciously misaged in your comments section. Use my promo code FRY15 to save 15% at checkout. There's something to be said for accessibility and your average game critic. If a game is exclusively story-driven, they tend to take the bait. Forget the fact that what you're playing is one season of a streaming series being interrupted with on-screen input prompts. As Dusk Falls gives players the full de-evolution of this genre, stripping away all exploration. It's lecture, pick a choice, mash A, swipe on a timer, but zero freedom of movement. You'd think we're back in the Laserdisc era with games such as Dragon's Lair and Road Blaster, cinematic experiences that require a correctly timed input to load the next portion, but at least those titles had the energy and brevity to fit as attractions at an arcade. I bring this up before getting into the story of As Dusk Falls because the disconnect from controlling a character completely destroys immersion. While the art style of these painted-over actors isn't nearly as jarring as I expected, you never get the sense you're in anyone's shoes. You're not a character in this story, you're somebody watching this story. And that story is being interrupted with annoying sequences to follow that don't feel natural on a controller. Look, anytime you get a cursor in your console game, it's kind of a red flag. It's like a chick texting and driving in a black BMW on the freeway during rush hour. You ask yourself, man, it's 2022, and we're still letting women drive. As best I can gather, you play as sheepish white men, so the devs can hammer home how worthless you are. Your decisions split off into forking paths which, despite your best efforts, converge to common points that set up events as if they're fate. Most games with this purported illusion of choice fall into this caveat. You have to have voice actors deliver a steady flow of engaging lines to propel the story, and since we're not yet at a point where AI can do this with every possible scenario, players are wrangled back to those planned moments. And admittedly, the performances are fine, but when your new title feels noticeably more restrictive than in Telltale games and doesn't attempt to add new gameplay wrinkles such as in Life is Strange, well, what's the point in making a game? I'm not about to get sentimental over dumb youths who, after robbing the house of the town sheriff and miraculously getting away, figure that instead of laying low, they should needlessly take hostages at the nearest motel. Or the quartering being sandwiched between his passive-aggressive father, playful daughter, and wife who I'm sure possesses some kind of traits. I give As Dusk Falls a 3.5 out of 10, which if you're keeping score means yes, it's worse than even Hollow Knight.
You just watched a video from my son. He's about 40 and lives in my basement, ladies. So subscriber and notify the bell for ringing.
Okay, I said what you wanted me to say. Now do the goddamn dishes.